A very good morning to everybody. Well, a good morning to you if you are here in the UK, and a very warm welcome to everybody who may be in other parts of the world. But in the usual way, can I ask everybody to let me know whether you can hear me and whether you can see the title slide in the question function? That would be great. Let's hope and pray that the technology is working for us this morning. I'm getting yeses, all good, both audio and visual. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Paul, Julie, Hannah, Liz, Jason, Neil, Martin. Look at that. Joanne, thank you. Fantastic. Well, for all of you, oh, here we go. Thank you, Heather from the UAE. Brilliant. Well, it's really fantastic to have a global audience with us today. I'm going to stop saying this morning because it may not be the morning where you are, but it's fantastic to have so many of you with us today. People are still joining. I can still see the numbers are climbing, so I'm just going to give it a little bit more time. But thank you for everybody who has joined promptly and for letting me know that you can hear me clearly. That's really reassuring, so thank you for that. We've had a few IT issues our end, sadly. I have had a few issues, and one of our speakers, Julie, is also having a few challenges, so we're going to have to try and resolve a few things as we go. But as long as you can hear us and you can see the slide, that's the main thing. Christine, I can see you're having a bit of sound issue. Let's see if that eases out. Fingers crossed, Christine. Fantastic. Oh, we've got from South Africa as well. Fantastic. Thank you, Colleen. Brilliant. All right, so I can see that the numbers have started to settle now. And how many minutes are we in? So we're 4 minutes in, so I think we are going to get started. But thank you once again, everybody, for confirming you can hear us. Well, a very warm welcome to everyone. Today we are going to be giving a warm-up to our new qualifications, so which we're going to be launching in August. So this is an early engagement webinar for the launch of our new qualifications at level 6 and level 7 for leaders and managers. So this is almost a kind of an early notice of what's coming. And then in August, we have another formal launch webinar where we'll be giving you a lot more information. So today we're going to be giving you just some early information just to make sure that you are fully aware that these qualifications are coming and to obviously start to prepare for these new qualifications that we're going to be launching in August of this year. So that's the focus and the purpose of today's webinar. So thank you again for joining us. So before we go any further, just a few housekeeping items just to quickly run through, especially for those who may not have joined an ILM webinar for a while or previously, but please be reassured that today is being recorded. I can see it saying in front of me this session is being recorded. So you can be reassured that you will receive the recording after, in a few days' time, you will receive an email with the recording. So please be reassured that that will be coming and will also be available on the ILM website. So you can sit comfortably and listen to the content that we have for you today and know that that recording is coming, which of course you can then share with your colleagues, which is again an easy way for you to disseminate information to your colleagues or any of the stakeholders, employers, etc., that you feel would benefit from listening to today's content that we're going to share. Unfortunately, there are just too many of you, and therefore everybody is on mute. However much we'd love to have you engaging with us, there's just too many. So please do use the question function in the usual way to pose your questions, and we will pick those up at the end of the session when we have the dedicated question and answer section. So please do pose your questions as soon as they arise, add them to the question section. Again, with the recording, we're also going to be sharing the slides. So again, please be reassured that you will be receiving the recording and the slides in a few days' time. Now, we always say this, if for any reason the session cuts out or audio goes or for the screen freezes, then our best advice is to come out and then re-enter using the link that you've used to join. And if for any reason that fails, then again, you should have a telephone function, and you should have a phone number that you can use to join. You won't be able to see the slides, but you'll be able to hear the conversation. So if for any reason the software fails, use the link again, try to re-enter, or as a minimum, use the phone to call in. So hopefully that will then keep you engaged in the session. Okay, so that's the housekeeping items for now. So moving on. So far you've been hearing from myself. My name is Joseph Ballantyne. I'm the ILM Industry Manager, and it's my responsibility to oversee the portfolio of qualifications that we have at ILM. So that's me, and I'm also pleased to be joined by a number of colleagues, many of whom you will have heard from in the past if you've joined ILM webinars. I'm very happy to be joined by Jill Hanson, ILM's technical advisor, or I should say one of ILM's technical advisors. Jill also works with Karen Egan to support yourselves as ILM approved centres. So Jill will be talking with you later. I'm also joined by Giussi Polisseno. Giussi is our development manager, and Giussi has been leading this development. And you will be hearing from Giussi, and she'll be talking you through what we have developed and what we'll be launching in August. And hopefully you will also hear from my colleague Julie Rowlett, our HE Partnership Manager. Julie's having a few technology challenges, but hopefully we will be able to hear from Julie later, and Julie will be talking to you about all of the support that you will be given and offered in the usual way. So those are your speakers for today. Now for the agenda, and then we're going to go straight into the content. So today's agenda is, why are we changing our existing level 6 and level 7 qualifications for senior leaders? So we're going to just touch on that topic. We're then going to talk about what is changing and what you can expect. And then we'll also be talking about what do the new qualifications look like. So just to give you a bit of a sneak peek, we can't obviously give you all of the details today because obviously we're not formally launching until August, but we'll be giving you a sneak peek as to what the qualifications will look like and what you can expect in August. We'll also be giving you a bit of a sneak peek as to how will they be assessed. So just a bit of a high level overview of our assessment strategy for these new qualifications. I've mentioned that they'll be available in August, but we'll give you a little bit more information around timescales and approvals. We'll also then talk about what centre support materials will be available for our approved centres. And obviously we'll be talking through the approval process and what that looks like. And then finally, we'll be talking about what support will be available for yourselves as ILM customers. So a packed agenda. We've got an hour or just under now to obviously run through this information. So hopefully that sounds like a really positive agenda for today. Now, just to reiterate, this is an early insight into the new qualifications. They are still being worked on, so there may still be some changes. So we are just going to give you a high level insight into what's coming. So just to reiterate that point. Okay, so moving on. So why are we changing from our existing level 6 and level 7 qualifications. And for those of you who currently deliver those qualifications, you will know that they have been in the ILM portfolio for some time. They are strong qualifications, but as all awarding organisations do, we review our qualifications on a regular basis, and we have reviewed our existing qualifications and we have sought feedback from our customers, our approved centres. And you said to us that you wanted to see an increase in the flexibility and the optionality within the qualifications. So that was one of the key areas of opportunity for us to improve on. And that you wanted us to update the language within the qualifications to give greater clarity, and where there may be areas that may have felt that they were either a little bit opaque or maybe even arguably overly academic, we have obviously looked to resolve that and to really pay attention to the language that we use within our qualifications, because we fully understand that that language is incredibly important for our approved centres when interpreting the qualification in order to deliver effectively and efficiently and with impact. So language has been a big area of focus for us. You also said that you wanted to see improved progression pathways, so better progression between the level 6 to the level 7. So those may be doing the level 6 because they're aspiring to become a senior leader, and then therefore later on in their career they would then complete the level 7, and then equally to be able to progress more efficiently and effectively from award certificate to diploma, dependent on what their pathway looks like for each individual. So that's another area that we've been looking to improve on. We've also, you also said to us that we needed to update the unit content. As we all know, every one of us on the call today who live and breathe leadership and management practice, the art of leadership and management, will know that leadership and management has evolved not only through the pandemic, but certainly over the last decade, and therefore there is a need to ensure that our qualification content, our unit content, was fully reflective of the demands of leaders and managers at that higher level, those leading organisations. So we've also looked to really focus on that as well. You also said to us that we needed to provide greater assessment guidance for yourselves as approved centres. So again, we've been putting a laser focus on ensuring that our assessment guidance is really robust to ensure that you can deliver these qualifications with ease. So that's a real big area of focus for us. And then the last two areas that you shared with us was that you wanted to see a kind of a streamlining of the assessment requirements to ensure efficiency and effectiveness within the assessment process, and to ensure that those undertaking the qualification felt that the assessment was impactful, beneficial, and was streamlined. So again, we've been focusing on that. And then finally, you said to us that you wanted us to amplify the strategic nature of these qualifications, because all of us on the call today will know that for those undertaking a level 6, level 7 qualification, that they are for those who are in senior positions within organizations, all the way up to CEO. So again, we've been looking at amplifying that strategic nature of the qualification and ensuring that the qualifications are relevant not only for the UK but for the global market. So really looking to ensure that the qualifications are completely relevant to anyone, no matter where you are across the globe. So again, a real focus on the purpose of the qualification, and really amplifying the strategic nature of these qualifications, because as we know, those at the top of the organisation, their focus is on ensuring that they have a very clear strategy for their area of focus and the organisation. So hopefully that paints a clear picture as to why we have changed why we have updated our existing qualifications to bring them up to date. So it'd be really great to hear. Let me know in the chat whether you think that those are the right areas for us to focus. Hopefully they are. It'd be great to get confirmation that that is the area that you were hoping, or those are the areas that you were hoping for us to really focus on. We did a number of consultations, so hopefully that all rings true to you all on the call today. So that's enough on why we are changing our qualifications. So what we're going to talk to you today is we're going to focus on obviously the new suite of qualifications and give you that early insight. And just to start with the level 6, so we are going to be obviously bringing to you a brand new suite of qualifications. For those of you who deliver the existing level 6 will know that they're currently only available as an award and diploma. The new suite will be available as an award, certificate, diploma, and very clear progression from award, certificate, and diploma to allow you to progress really effectively. I'll come back to the level 6 in a moment. Now, for the level 7, for those of you who currently deliver the level 7, you will know that they're currently available as an award, certificate, and diploma. The new suite of qualifications will be available as an award, certificate, diploma, and an extended diploma. So we're expanding that suite of level 7 qualifications. Now you will notice that at the moment the title is Leadership and Management. Now we are still working on the qualification title, so we're not sharing with you the final titles today. We'll be obviously sharing that news with you when we formally launch in August. So at the moment, as you will see, that we're just obviously referencing the qualifications as Leadership and Management. So do join us in August and we'll be sharing the final qualification titles at that formal launch webinar. Now, just to give you a little bit more of a flavour as to what is the focus, what is the purpose of these qualifications. So I'm just going to pay focus now to the level 6. So really importantly, the level 6 is a qualification that allows learners to further develop and practice the knowledge and skills and competencies required of those who are active senior leaders or those within a senior role, or those who are new within a senior role, or aspirational senior managers, or potentially even middle managers who are preparing for promotion into a senior position. So the level 6 is a really crucial qualification for those who are either new or practicing, but obviously want to refine their skills, dependent maybe on their position within the organisation and their area of responsibility. But equally, it's for those who are looking for promotion. So maybe those within a middle management or in a middle management position, and they're looking for that step up to a senior leadership role. So the level 6 acts as a really important gateway for those individuals. And the focus, the aim is on sharpening learners' critical thinking skills, which is so important for all organisations, and evaluating their performance to prepare for senior leadership. So it's a really important area for those individuals who are really looking to prepare themselves for a senior leadership role. And it can help them to work in a broad area of various occupations. So as all ILM qualifications, these are sector agnostic and therefore will allow people to work in a broad area across leadership and management. So when we then at the level 7. The level 7 allows learners to further develop and practice the knowledge, skills, and competencies required of those who are aspiring or active strategic senior managers and leaders seeking to develop themselves as leaders and managers, leading organizations at the top of their organization, working with leaders and managers. So the aim is to sharpen their ability to think and act strategically with the application to broad occupational areas. So again, the level 7 is on that application to really think and act strategically and to apply that. So that level 7 is really focused on that area. And obviously, we'll be talking more about the purpose of these qualifications when we launch them in August and really talk you through the main target audiences. As I've given you a summary today of both the level 6 and level 7, we'll be giving even more information on that when we share news in August. So we're now going to move on to the structure. And at this point, I'm going to hand you over to my colleague, Giussi Polisseno, who's been working intensely on these qualifications with all of our subject matter experts, our academics, yourselves as approved centres, if you're part of the working group, and also our employers. So, Giussi, are you there?
Good morning, Joe. Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Fantastic. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. So here I will just give you a summary of the structure of our 2 new products. So as Joe mentioned, we have 3 sizes now within the level 6, which are the award, the certificate, and the diploma. And then for the level 7, we got 4 sizes: the award, the certificate, the diploma, and the extended diploma. Each size will come under a different program of study to which customer will be able to register. These will also include the top-up route and the dual accreditation, which will also be available. Now, if we compare the new level 6 that we are redeveloping against the previous level 6, we have introduced the certificate, and then we also reduced the credits. For instance, for the award, before it was 12 and now is 5, and the same with the diploma. Form 42 is now 40 credits. So the award will be 5 credits, the certificate 15 credits, and the diploma 40 credits. And there is progression from the different size because you will be able to carry over the units from the award to the certificate to the diploma. Obviously, there will be rules of combination that we will share in the next webinar. Then if we look at the new level 7 that we are redeveloping, in terms of the award, we have reduced the credits of the award from 10 to 7. The same from the certificate, from 20 to 15 credits. The diploma from 60 to 40 credits. And we have introduced the extended diploma with 60 credits. Again, there is progression from the different sizes, as again, you will be able to carry over the units across the different sizes. Again, we'll have obviously some rules of combination, but we will share the details of how the rules of combination will work in the next webinar. So if we can go through the next slide. So I wanted just to give you a a bit of an overview of the new units. I will not go through all the details, but this is the list of all the units that we have redeveloped, brand new units from 601 to 612 at level 6. So you can see on the screen the different titles. This is the result of consultation with customers, an extensive consultation. So we have completely rewritten the pool of the level 6 units. So they are brand new units, basically looking at the level required for this qualification and the roles. We have developed the content of these units based on what would be the type of knowledge, skills, and behavior required at this level. So just to give you some examples, to run you through some of the content of some of our units, we got the 602, which is the developing critical thinking, which is so fundamental at this level to support the decision making and problem solving. We got 603, progressive discourse in modern leadership, which will explore some management and leadership theories, and will focus on how the leadership is evolving and asking learners to research current theories and models. It is important to note that every unit will give, in the depth section, a list of suggested theories and relevant models, but learners are very much encouraged to look into the relevant theories and models. They might be more appropriate for their role and their organization. Then we have, for instance, 605, optimizing organizational capacity, which will focus on the data and analysis of the data and evaluation, and coming up with recommendation to maximize personal and organizational success. We got the 612, the introduction to strategic management, which is the bridge unit to prepare the learners towards the level 7 if they wish to progress to that level, allowing learners to explore the foundation of strategic management, giving an introduction to the subject. Sorry, I got that wrong. That was the 606, maximizing data efficiency to personal and organizational success. Apologies. So if we go then to the next slide, please. Okay, thank you. So we also have some level 5 units, as you can see, from units 504 to 530. There are existing level 5 units that will enable progression from lower level into the level 6 and then going towards the level 7. So we have the 703. Some of you might be familiar with the current developing strategic leadership and management capability. And then we have the brand new level 7 units that we have written. And I will give you a bit in a bit more details in the next slides. But basically, the selection of the units will very much depend on the learner's experience, their role, responsibilities, and their needs. And as they might have particular background, and then they might decide to carry over some level 5 units that will make sense for them, but they might also want to use some higher level units at level 7. So this type of structure and range of units will allow learners to decide which units to select, very much based on their needs. So if we can move to the next slide, please. So here is the list of the level 7 units. As you can see from the top, we have kept the current units from 700 to 703. They are the current level 7 because as from the feedback, they work really well. And so through the consultation, we kind of looked at protecting these units, but adding other units, looking to expand on other knowledge, skills, and behaviors that will be pertinent at this level. So just to give you some examples, we have, for instance, 710, embedding a culture of developmental leadership, which will explore coaching and mentoring and continuous improvement to embed a culture of developmental leadership. 712, creating a culture of innovation and change, which basically we look at innovation and change and the impact of disruptive technologies into the business. For instance, artificial intelligence as one of the examples. Now, is it important to note that in this unit, we try to keep it general in terms of innovation and change to future-proof the content of this unit. As for instance, with remote hybrid working is the current way of working. A couple of years ago, it would have been a new thing, but now it's a normal pattern. So we very much want to encourage learners throughout this qualification and the units they will select to research into, for instance, in this case, into current innovation and changes that have an impact in today's working practice. Then, for instance, we have the 713, strategic influencing and negotiation, clearly highly required piece of knowledge, skills, and behaviors, which are fundamental at this level. Now, 714 and 715, strategic optimization of people and resources and adopting a data-led approach to strategic management. They are very specialist, and it would be useful for somebody looking, for instance, in an HR function or being very close to data. And then 717, evolving approaches in leadership and management, which it's more general, and we look into how leadership and management have evolved. And then if we go through the next slide, please. Okay, and so we have some, again, some level 6 units, which are coming from the brand new qualification that we have developed, because you will have the opportunity, as Joe explained earlier, to carry over some units from different levels based on specific rules of combination. So here you will have the pool of the units at level 6, the brand new units. And we also have the introduction of a level 8 unit, the impactful CEO, which does follow very much the inquiry-based approach and can be selected only if acting at this level. So not for aspirational CEO, but acting CEO. Where there will be a lot of research and analysis with the inclusion of reflection on personal and organizational leadership. So this was just to give you some kind of insight in some of the units, but you will hear a lot more about these units into the next webinars, and you will have access to the material. Now, if we can move through the next slide, please. So in terms of assessment, the assessment will be externally set assignments, which will be internally marked by centers. It will be a mix of knowledge and practical task based on the unit content. So we tried as much within the level 6 and the level 7 where there was a space for practical tasks then and practical content to include that. And in many units we achieved to mix knowledge areas with the application. So therefore the assignment will be a mix of knowledge, skills and behaviors. There will be flexibility in terms of the type of evidence that can be produced to meet the requirements of each of the unit. And you will see that in each unit, we will give at the end of each unit, there will be a section with the suggested work products that perhaps could be produced as part of the evidence, which is just a suggestion, but that will really depend on the role of the learners and their organization. So it's important that evidence will be required for each assessment criteria. So each assessment criteria has a set of defined assessment requirements that must be met. Those will be visible in the units as well as within the assignments. There will be structured evidence that will need to be produced for each unit, with the possibility, if you are doing more, if you are delivering more than one unit, for the evidence to be integrated across more than one unit. So in that case, you can have a piece of evidence that will be able to meet the requirement of different assessment criteria within the units and across different units, as long as it's important to note that each assessment criteria is met. We also will give a suggested word count that will be provided. Again, that is just a suggestion to give an idea. It's not mandatory, but it will give a good indication. It's more of a support, really, than anything else. And we also will give some inclusion indication on timing. For instance, if they decide to, the learners will decide to produce some slide and do a presentation and provide a recording. So we will give some guidance on timing as well. Units and assessment will be set as pass and referral. As I said before, for any current unit, so the one that I said, the level 5 that are included, and 700 to 703, will not change the content of those units, and therefore will not change the assessment, the current assessment of those units, no changes at all, exactly the same. With the new units within the level 6 and the level 7, you will find in the assignment the descriptor for pass and referral, and therefore there won't be the good pass and there won't be any marks assigned. That is only for the units that we have created. All the rest will stay exactly the same as it is now. And that's all for me, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Juicy. Well, just to pause before we obviously move on to our next section, hopefully everybody on the call will see that we have been spending a lot of time redeveloping these qualifications, and have put a lot of thinking into ensuring that not only are they fully reflective of the demands of those working at a senior level or looking to step up into a senior role, but also to ensure that these qualifications are future proof and relevant. As we all know, things are changing quite radically and rapidly, and therefore that was a really important objective for us to achieve in ensuring that these qualifications remain relevant, again, as I mentioned earlier, for that global international audience, especially as we see more leaders and managers working for international companies, and then people moving from the UK to international and vice versa. So you will see that we put a lot of thinking into these qualifications, and done a lot of testing as well, and been consulting quite heavily on this. So hopefully what Juicy has shared with you there, and obviously all of those units, you will see that there is a lot to be excited about when we launch these qualifications in August. So Obviously, if there are any questions, we completely appreciate that this is still very high level information. But if you do have any questions or observations, please do share them in the chat. I'm sure you're probably now thinking, well, okay, how is the approval process going to, what's it going to look like, and how's that going to work, especially for those of you with us today who are currently approved for the existing qualifications. So what we're now going to move on to is exactly that. We're going to talk about our current plan and the approach for approvals. And obviously, dependent on whether you're delivering the level 6 and level 7, there is going to be a slight difference between the two, but I'm very happy to hand over now to Jill, who is going to talk to you about the approval process. Jill, are you there?
I am indeed. Hello, everyone.
Fantastic. Over to you, Jill.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. So obviously our new level 6 and level 7 are going to be open to everyone. So people that haven't used our level 6, 7 before, obviously there will be the full qualification add-on approval process as there would be at any other level. For our existing customers who are already approved for our level 6, because we've completely revamped the qualification, it's a completely new, everything's new, the units are new, the assessments are new, we will need you to undertake a full qualification approval. So as usual, you would follow that usual process of completing a qualification approval form online through the quality portal, and accompanying that with a delivery plan showing how you plan to deliver those new units, what rules of combination you're going to follow, and the staff that will be delivering that for you, assessing and QAing. But there won't be any charge to you for doing that. So it'll be a quite, lightweight conversion, but it will be a full approval process, but with no cost. That's if you're already approved for the existing level 6 award or diploma. Now the level 7 is slightly different, because what we've done there is we've added to the unit bank, and it's still possible, as Juicy said, to deliver the existing units. You can leave your program as it is, completely as it is, for as long as you wish, if you don't want to take advantage of the new optional units. But we do need you to start registering on the new code. We don't want you to carry on registering on 8617. We do need you to use the new code. So because of that, we've created a fast track approval, again, obviously with no charge, but it's an even lighter touch process, which you may have been through with other qualifications in the past. Can I just have the next slide, please, Joe, so that I can show them what that form will look like? So obviously fast track approval is only when you're already approved for 8617, the level 7, and it's a much easier, simple form to complete. Again, there's no charge for it, as I've said, and once that's been processed, so it'll just come into quality. Once it's been processed, you'll be able to register people on the new 8618, but continue to use the existing units if you so wish. There's nothing to stop you in the future then, changing your delivery plan and incorporating those new units, but we just wanted to make it as easy as we can for you to continue if that's what you want to do. Could I have the next slide, Joe, please? So in terms of what you're signing up for, if you sign that fast track, obviously, we want to make sure that you share the new qualification in its entirety, so the handbook, with your delivery and assessment and IQA team, and that you do update your learner journeys as and when you are ready to change to add in the new units and take some of the old units out, and that you make that new learner journey available to your EQA so that they can review it as soon as possible, so at the next EQA activity, basically. and that you update all your schemes of work and your lesson plans, and again make those available to the EQA. So it's not different to what you would need to do now. If you were changing the units in one of the lower level qualifications, you would still tell your EQA, this is what I'm going to deliver now. It's a change from the scheme of work that I had before. And also you would undertake to deliver training sessions to update your team on the new qualifications, and that you would evidence that training again at the next EQA activity. There's another category of people, if you could just move me on to the next slide, please, Jo. And those are the people in our universities and our defence sector. So if you're currently approved for dual accreditation or marked provision at level 6, because all the old units have gone, you will need to have a full remap of your programme against our new level 6 units. And I'm sure that that won't cause an issue for anybody, you know, because the content will, I am sure, still work for us with the new units as it did with the old units. But please, you know, Julie, our HE partnership manager, will be in contact with you if you're already got that mapped provision, to talk you through how that's going to work, how that remapping will work. If you are in a rush to get that remapping done, if you've got something starting that needs to start soon and you want to use the new qualification, then please prompt Julie to push yourself up the list so that she will contact you one of the first. Now with the level 7, if you're not changing your units, if you're not changing your programme, then there's no real need to change the units that are dual accredited to that. So we will give you automatically the new code for dual accreditation. As with any other change to your programme, if you change your modules, we might then need to remap them to the unit. So you will put in the usual change request, and we would remap it as and when required, as usual. So that's not really a change. So at level 6, it will be a new remap required for any new programs. At level 7, you will get automatic approval and then just change it when there are any changes to your program that might need to then affect the mapping, obviously. So in terms of how we'll exit the existing programs for registration and certification, if you could just move me on a couple of slides, Jo. Perfect. So the dates for registering on the old level 6 award and diploma are the 8316. The final date for registration will be the 31st of August 2024. So you've got time to, you know, run out any programs that you've got, and even run out any programs that you have already contracted to deliver with your customers. There's no rush to this, because registration, not certification, but registration only ends on the 31st of August 24. Similarly, with the 8617, the existing award certificate and diploma at level 7, same date, end of August next year. So because those are the final registration dates, the final certification dates on the next slide are 3 years from then. So the 31st of August 2027 at both levels. So as I say, plenty of time for you to run out any existing contracts that you've got, any existing commitments that you've made, any existing pricing that you've done for people. There's plenty of time for you to run that out, no problem whatsoever. Thank you. Now, I'm going to sort of morph into my lovely colleague Julie, because she is really struggling to get on and join us today, and just talk to you about the support that's available through this process. So if we could just take the next slide, that's Karen, who Joe mentioned before. Karen is my colleague as the technical advisor for leadership and management. She tends to focus on levels 2 to 5, and I tend to focus on 6 to 7, but we're both here for all the full suite to support you with any questions that you've got about the technical nature, so the content of the units, the specifications, the requirements, the assessments. And then Julie, who I'm now pretending to be, is our Higher Education Partnership Manager, who supports our universities in terms of the delivery of the level 6 and 7 and any other level, but generally speaking, the dual accreditation and the higher levels that are delivered in those universities. As I say, sometimes 5, but focusing on the 6 and 7. So she's your go-to person as the account manager generally for these levels. On the next slide, we've got just a link there for anybody that might be listening that doesn't have centre approval at all. So you're interested in delivering our new level 6 and 7, but you're not able to add them on because you're not an existing centre already. So we've got the link there into the information about becoming an ILM approved centre and the 5 easy steps to allow you to do that. And again, Julie would be a great person to be in touch with if that was something that you felt you wanted to do, because you've not got an existing centre approval to add to. On the next slide, we've just put there some examples of the type of centre support materials that we will have for these 2 qualifications. So the qualification handbook, which is a slight shift away from the earlier iterations of the 6 and 7, which you would get, the introduction, but then you'd get the unit briefs and the assignment briefs and the mark sheets. Now we've got qualification handbooks, like we have for coaching and mentoring, and everything's in one place. So it talks to what are the centre requirements, what are the staffing requirements, what are the occupational competence, but it's also got those assignment briefs, the assessment guidance, so additional information about sufficiency, I suppose, the assessment guidances and depth and range, all of those old words, the indicative content comes into the assessment guidance and the guidance for delivery. And what we've also added, which we didn't have before at these higher levels, we've added the suggested reading, the resources that people might point people to. They are just suggestions, but they're the types of sources that our developers have used to put this content together, and therefore to expand on that, you could use and suggest those sources to your learners. On the next slide, we have the dates and the links for you to register for the next 2 events. So on the 17th of August, that will be a deeper dive into the detail of the qualification. That's when we're actually launching. It'll be slightly longer there for you because we want to be able to give you as much detail as we can. And then in time honoured tradition, we'll have a 3rd webinar, but we've left it till the 5th of October to let sort of new, the new intake come in, and Freshers Week if you're in a university, get everything out of the way, and maybe time for you to think about what that detail that we gave you on the 17th of August. So we're leaving it till the 5th of October to do the Q&A event, which will be more you asking us questions, or also if we've had questions from individual customers in the meantime, we will tell you what they were and what the answers were, so that if you've not got to the point of thinking what your questions are by then, we'll at least have some questions that other people have thought about and had answered. So those 2, please get them in the diary. Please use those links to get yourselves onto those events, get them locked into your diary so that you don't miss out on anything. Okay, it's questions time then, I guess. Joe, have we got any questions there building up? If you do have any questions, do put them in there now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we've got about 4 minutes. We thankfully have just a kind of a handful of questions. Obviously, information is still fairly high level, so but not surprised that we just have some really focused questions. But obviously, in the last few minutes, please do, as Jill said, ask those questions. I'm going to work backwards. Actually, no, I won't. I will work in order of the questions. Okay, so Hannah has asked, would be good to distinguish the level 7 from the level 5 leadership and management, senior leadership management or strategic leadership management, for example. It's a good point, Hannah. We will give that more detailed overview of, I suppose, the progression from 5 to 6 to 7 and who the qualifications are aimed at. So what I would say is join us in August and we'll give a really good summary as to those qualifications. And we will start with the level 5, as you quite rightly point out, so that there's a very clear focus as to who each qualification is aimed at. So thank you for sharing that.
Can I just say, I think Hannah is possibly there. I might be wrong, but just in case she is, I think she might be saying in terms of the title. So she's saying, i.e. senior leadership and management or strategic leadership and management, for example.
I see. Yes.
Yeah. And that is something that we're working on, Hannah. If you've got any suggestions.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. And as I mentioned, it is, as Jill said, something we're still thinking through. We do obviously have some proposals, as you would imagine, but we're still doing just a little bit more testing on making sure that they're absolutely on point. But yeah, no, thank you, Jill. I don't think I picked that point up from the question, but it's great to hear Hannah said, great to see more contemporary assessment methods in there. So that's good to hear. So good point and a very thankful positive comment there. So thank you. So Christine has asked or kind of shared with us that she doesn't currently deliver, but could we share where kind of the financial acumen is required within the units? So Jill, Juicy, I don't know whether in a kind of a short summary where you would kind of highlight where the kind of financial acumen is kind of, or is it the fact that it's across a number of units? Who would like to take that one? Juicy, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, if I understood correctly, I think the main places, I think, obviously there is a bit of reflection on budget and so on in some of the units, obviously. But I think in terms of the level 6, the one that is quite hot on data is the 606, maximizing data efficiency for personal and organizational success, while in the level 7 is the unit, the 715, adopting a data-led approach for strategic management. So they are the 2 units across the different levels that focus on the data, the use of data, the analysis, the research, the analytical tools perhaps to present the data and then make recommendation for improvements. Obviously, there are considerations in terms of budget and financial aspects in some of other units, like for instance, in the level 6, within the optimizing organizational capacity, looking at resources, equipment and so on. But if I understood correctly, those are the 2 units that are really focusing on the data. Hope this answered the question.
That's great. Thank you, Juicy. Conscious of time, so we're going to move on. So just I think a good comment or positive piece of feedback from Neil. Very modern unit titles. They look very appealing and different. So thank you, Neil, for that that piece of positive feedback. That's really great to hear. And also Hannah has shared that she did mean the title. Thank you, Hannah. That's great. So just picking up on a couple of areas. Jill, there's one for you here. Susie has asked, will the Level 7 award resources pack slide decks be updated?
Hi. No. Those resources won't be updated. They are very old, actually. We don't even keep them up to date now. They are for you to deliver an update. Actually, we're not currently providing any sort of delivery resources for these two new qualifications. But obviously, for the Level 7 award, if you're carrying on delivering that unit, and similarly, I see that you've said the 703 as well at the bottom, the slides wouldn't change because those units haven't changed at all, Susie. So you would just continue with whatever slides you've got. They're not changing, the assessment's not changing, the credits are not changing.
Great.
I hope that's answered your question.
Yeah, that's fine. Yes, okay. From Susie, thank you, Susie. Okay, I think, so Christine has said thanks. Okay, well, let's pick that up then, Christine. Christine just shared with us that she has some more observations around the financial acumen part, but we'll come back to you on that one, Christine, because obviously we're a few minutes over now. So thank you everybody for joining us today. It's been great sharing this information with you. I sincerely hope that you are as excited as we are in bringing these new qualifications. I can see lots of thanks coming in. Thank you, Christine, Colleen. So we are we're gearing ourselves up for our August webinar. And please do, if you haven't already, please do register onto that. As Jill said, it's a slightly longer, it's a 90-minute session. So make sure you've got your drink of choice and your snacks at the ready to sit comfortably and listen. But a huge thank you to everybody. Thank you for all those comments coming through now. Really, it leaves me to say a final thank you to Jill and to Juicy, and also to Julie for trying to join us, but sadly Julie hasn't been able to. But thank you to everybody for sharing and for joining us today. We wish you a wonderful day, or the rest of it, wherever you are, and we look forward to speaking with you in August. Thanks again, everyone. Take care. Bye for now.